By 1974, 21-year-old Malcolm Young and his 19-year-old brother Angus had formed a band and found a frontman. 28-year-old Bon Scott was a perfect fit for ACDC, a hard-rocking, hard-living dynamo. His first appearance with the band was an omen of hell-raising to come.
The first gig, you know, he's got a bottle of bourbon and he just juices it all, you know, and then he's got, you know, there's drugs and everything coming in. I said to Malcolm, I said, he'll be lucky if he can walk, let alone sing, you know.
Bon Scott's behavior may have been shocking, but his performance was electric.
And we heard his voice proper then, and thought, geez, that guy's got some voice. He can scream, a great melody, he's got great feel.
ACDC had found their voice. They went into the studio to record their debut album, and in January of '75, the band took their high-voltage act across the Australian club circuit.
They were the Aussie bloke's idea of a good time. It was just hard and down and fast and mean, rib-crunching, skull-crushing, sort of blistering rock and roll. And you know they weren't going to slip in a ballad on you.
Having conquered Sydney's music scene, ACDC relocated to Melbourne and retooled the group's lineup. Bon Scott's voice had raised the band to another level, but there was room for improvement.
The first high voltage album had been released, but they were still looking to sort of secure the permanent band members.
In early '75, drummer Phil Rudd joined the band. End the debauchery.
We were living in this house for 6 months. Still the best days of our lives. There was more action going on there than ever since. But we drank like it was no tomorrow. We woke up and drank again, and we just continued on like that for a long time.
The party continued that spring when ACDC's cover of Baby Please Don't Go went top 10 and became their first nationwide hit.
Baby don't go! Baby don't go!
That April, the band made a notorious appearance on Australian television as Bon gave new meaning to the phrase, dress for success.
I'll never forget it. On Countdown, Bon dressed in drag, you know? That was unheard of back then.
Bon's drag act served to further ACDC's raucous reputation, and by the summer of '75, they had a gold record and a growing fan base in Australia.
ACDC had a young audience, male and female, adoring this band.
But as ACDC's second album went to number 2 in Australia, the band had no intention of remaining local heroes. In early '76, they scored a deal with Atlantic Records to release their music internationally. That spring, ACDC boarded a plane to London, looking to conquer the world.
I think it was inevitable that ACDC were going to outgrow Australia. There was a whole world waiting for them.
Their fast and furious style was a hit in London's burgeoning punk scene, and ACDC was soon headed cross-country to rock the rest of Great Britain. Their reputation as the rude and rowdy band from Australia preceded them.
I think they thought I was some sort of male stripper at some point. I think I played one night in Marquee nude. I didn't know that, you know, what, they arrest people for that? I didn't know.
ACDC came to be considered less a band than a band of outlaws. On stage, ACDC did everything they could to shock. Off stage, they got serious about their music, working with Angus and Malcolm's older brother George, who produced their next album, Let There Be Rock.
Me and Malcolm said, well, we really want a lot of guitars, you know, big guitars.
Released in the summer of '77, Let There Be Rock blasted onto the U.S. charts. ACDC were on the verge of becoming an international hard rock phenomenon.
Living easy, living free.
In January of 1979, ACDC began work on an album called Highway to Hell, a title the record company hated from the start.
And they freaked with that title. They didn't want that title.
And I said hogwash, you know. We're calling it Highway to Hell, and that's how it is.
When Highway to Hell hit record stores that summer, its title spawned rumors that the wild men of ACDC were devil worshippers. But to ACDC, Highway to Hell was a tribute to the hard life of a touring rock and roll band.
If you'd have been on the road with us for those years up to that point, you would have known exactly what we were talking about.
After 6 hard years on the road and in the studio, ACDC's grit and determination were finally paying off. Bon Scott was enjoying the high times. Only for Bon, the high times were even higher.
And we go back to the hotel, say, oh, Bon, you know, it's 3 in the morning, you know, we've got to crash, we've got to go. And you go, oh, just one more drink. Then we'd wake up in the morning, Bon, wake up, oh. Then you get up back onto his drink, oh, where were we?
Where they were was on the rise. Highway to Hell raced up the Billboard charts and hit the top 20 as the 70s came to a close. As the 80s began, ACDC looked forward to further rock and roll glory. But the new decade was doomed to begin not with distinction, but with sudden, shocking death. Coming up, a legendary voice is silenced.
I don't think we'll ever get over that one. We wanted to continue the band, but we just didn't have the will to.
And later, Requiem for a rock and roll heavyweight.
Back in Black was written about Bon and for Bon.
When Behind the Music continues.